Once upon a very recent time, there was a soldier named Gale. Gale was everything a soldier should be: brave, strong, and loyal. Nevertheless, Gale often struggled with his self-control, as many people often do. One day, after things got a bit out of hand with one of the women on his base, Gale found himself seated across from his very angry captain. This captain told Gale that he would not be allowed on his base for exactly 1 month. During this month, Gale was to discover what women desire most in life. If he failed to do so, he would be dishonorably discharged. If Gale succeeded, on the other hand, the captain gave his word that Gale could remain a soldier. Gale set straight to work, asking all the men on his base what they thought. Since none of them were confident in their answers, he knew he'd have to work a little harder. He walked up and down the city streets, asking every pretty girl he saw what they wanted most. None of them could agree on a single answer. He paid no attention to the old woman in rags that was sitting on the curb. She sensed his panic and reached out to him, telling him that she could help. No, no, no. Gale declined. Gale, judging by how she looked, figured she couldn't help him. Before he knew it, Gale's time was up. She offered again a few minutes later, yet still Gale refused, too superior to accept help from this elderly woman. After an hour, he cried out in despair, "Can anyone help me?" forgetting all about the woman. He looked up, startled by the person that stood before him, stubbornly offering her help one last time. Gale scoffed but allowed her to answer his question. She looked him in the eye and told him that women want to be in charge and have authority over their husbands. The only thing she asked for in return was a companion, for the streets were a lonely place to live. This seemed reasonable to Gale, so, when the time came, he presented his captain with the woman's answer. The captain was satisfied with it, for his wife was constantly nagging for equality. True to his word, Gale was free to be a soldier again. He returned to the street, where he and the woman met to keep her company for a few minutes at most. He found her, and the two began to talk. After an hour or so, Gale stood up to leave. The woman stood to leave with him, and Gale listened in shock as she explained to him that when he agreed to being her companion, he was agreeing to more than a friendship. He had consented to marry her. Gale, out of pity for the old woman, agreed. Before he could think it through, the two were married. That night, Gale became more and more depressed as he realized he had made this hideous old woman his wife. She noticed Gale's misery and confronted him about it. He confessed he was unhappy with his decision to wed her, and she replied, "I will be a humble, obedient wife. Would you rather me be a young, beautiful girl, yet defiant and overconfident?" Gale pondered this for a moment, but finally threw his hands in the air. "The choice would be yours," he declared. The woman countered, "Do you mean to say that I have the authority to choose what kind of wife I want to be?" "Of course," Gale replied. A smile spread across the old woman's lips. She spun in a circle, her wrinkles disappearing as she turned. Her white hair shone gold, and by the time her rotation was over, she appeared 50 years younger. She was the most beautiful creature Gale had ever seen. He was in awe as she leapt into his arms. I am happy to end this tale with, "And they lived happily ever after, perfectly in love."